volume and surface area of a sphere. So a sphere is a perfectly round solid such as a tennis ball. You see them in everyday life. Every point on its surface is the same distance from the center. So we've got a distance here that's a radius. I could have a distance up to here, which would also be a radius, and so on. Any point from the center to the outside is a radius. Now there are two formulas that you need to know, and luckily both of them live on your reference sheet. The first one is that volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. And I always remember this one because it has r cubed, and we know that volume is always in cubes. The next thing is the surface area of the sphere. So the surface area of the sphere, A, equals 4 pi r squared. And once again, I remember this because I know that area is usually given in square units. So here is our trusty reference sheet, and I just want to draw your attention to where the surface area of a sphere is hiding. You can see that on your reference sheet, it doesn't tell you, so you're going to need to memorize it. So here is the surface area of the sphere, 4 pi r squared, and the pi r squared, the squared part, helps me remember that that is surface area. And then I've got volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed, and that makes me remember that that is the volume. So here are the two places that the area, the surface area and the volume of the sphere are living on your reference sheet. So let's have a look at what this looks like in terms of some examples. What is the total surface area of 1 dozen tennis balls, and each ball has a radius of 3.5 centimetres, and give your answer correct to the nearest square centimetre? Well, I'm looking for surface area, so I'm going to write that formula down. A equals 4 pi r squared. Now the radius, we know, of our tennis ball is 3.5. So this is going to be 4 times pi times 3.5 squared. Now that's a formula, or that's going to give me the answer to 1 tennis ball, but I have 1 dozen, and a dozen is 12. So I'm going to multiply this answer by 12 to give me the correct answer. So you can either pause the video and work it out yourself, or just keep following along. So my calculator gave me 1,847.2564 to some decimal places, which is 1,847 centimetres squared. Looking at my next question then. An asteroid is in the shape of a sphere with a diameter of 324 metres. Now we're talking about diameter, so the first thing I'm going to do is work out what that's going to look like as a radius. So 324 divided by 2 gives me 162. And the first part says, what is its volume in scientific notation correct to 3 significant figures? So that scientific notation in 3 significant figures keeps coming up. So we're asked for volume. So the first thing I'm going to do is write my volume formula out. Volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed. So in my calculator, 4/3 times pi times 162 cubed. Now my calculator gives me an answer that isn't in scientific notation. It gives me this really large number, 178,08758.84, blah, 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 blah. Now I need to round this first of all to the 3 significant figures. So that means I'm looking for the first 3 numbers. 1, 2, 3. Here they are. I'm going to put my cut here. I'll have a look at the number after my cut. Now that's a 0. That means I don't have to do any rounding. So that's 178. And then I'm going to replace all of these with zeros. 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Now, it's still not in scientific notation, but to do scientific notation, I know I take the first number, put a decimal point, and then any other numbers. Now, here is where I've put the decimal point, and this is where it's kind of hiding in real life. So if I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I've multiplied this by 10, and since it was a big number, it's 10 to the power of 7. So there is our correct answer in significant figures, 3 significant figures, and in scientific notation. The next one. What is its surface area correct to the nearest hectare? Now, remembering that 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared, and that's something you need to learn. So let's see how that's going to work out. Area is 4 pi r squared from your formula sheet. So this is 4 times pi times 162 squared. And my calculator gives me 329,791.83. And now this is meters squared. Now, to go from meters squared into hectares, well, we can see they're really dividing by 10,000. Or I could be using that unitary method, but 1 hectare is 10,000 meters squared. So if I just simply divide my answer by 10,000, I get 32.97. So to the nearest hectare, that must be 33 hectares as my final answer. The last question, find the surface area of a closed hemisphere. So a closed hemisphere, well, a hemisphere is half of a sphere. So imagine your tennis ball and you cut it in half. And a closed hemisphere means there's like a covering on top of this. And we're told we have a radius of 30 millimeters, and we're giving our answer correct to the nearest 10 millimeters squared. So let's work out the area. The area, now we have half of a sphere. So I have half times 4 times pi times 30 squared. Now remember that surface area of a sphere is just the outside, so this part here. Now because we've got a closed hemisphere, that means I have this part also that I need to consider, which is just the area of the circle. So that is pi times 30 squared. Now if you pop that in your calculator, what you end up with is 8482.3. Okay, and we need to give our answer to the nearest 10 millimeters squared. So the nearest 10 means we are looking here. Okay, after my cut there's a 2, so 848, and I'm just going to replace that 2 with a 0, and this is millimeters squared. Because remember, this is a tens place, and this is to the nearest 10 millimeters. So it's just another type of rounding. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in class.